well, hopefully you're going to listen to this preamble. Sometimes you might skip over them in other episodes, but I'm hoping you listen to this one because it's important. At least it's important to me. It's hard to know what to think about this conversation. I thought it was an important one to have. And after the fact, after I left the home of this person, I had a million more questions. And in the days that have followed our conversation, there's so many things I wish I had asked or I wish I had said, and I didn't. And so I don't know. I'm sure as you're listening, if you end up listening to the whole conversation, you too will have questions. And well, some questions maybe are just unanswerable. And sometimes I think I'm being elusive on purpose right now because I'm leading up to what this whole thing is about, but I wanted to get this out first. I just think that some conversations, when you go into them, there's no point in arguing. And in this case, and in this conversation, that was how I felt. I went into this conversation with this person, and I didn't want to have an argument. I didn't want to stand my ground and speak my case, because that wasn't what this was about. For me, this was about hearing what this person thinks and feels and why, because it's very hard for me to comprehend it. And I don't think I know anybody like this. And so this was my chance. And there's nervous laughter here and there. I mean, I went in, I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh my gosh, what this is going to be like. I've heard so many stories. I'm a little scared. I'm anxious, but also, I felt strengthened by the fact that I was there for a purpose, and my purpose was I wanted to hear what this person had to say, and I wanted other people to hear what this person had to say. So this is part one of two parts. Part one is with this person, this conversation, and the second one will be next Thursday, or the following episode, which will be episode 31. This will be episode 30. So episode 31 is with Brian Widener, and he is a former neo-Nazi, and he is no longer a neo-Nazi skinhead. He and I have actually had several conversations, and he's lovely, and I'm really looking forward to for you to hear that episode, which is going to be the one that follows this episode next week. This episode, however, is with Richard Nichols. And Richard Nichols is in Columbia, Tennessee, and he is a Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. Even saying that out loud is so weird to me. It's like, what? I just spoke to somebody in the Ku Klux Klan, had an actual conversation, asked questions. Never in a million years would I have thought that would be my life experience, but here it is. The Ku Klux Klan was first founded in 1865, and Richard Nichols is he's one of the descendants of one of the original members of the Ku Klux Klan. Its present incarnation, as we know, has had its roots in hate crimes and violence and murder and really horrible, horrible things. And Richard, in this conversation, talks about how that's not where he's coming from. He wants a world of black separatism from whites, white separatism from Asians, Asian separatism. Basically, everybody's separate and in their own world, or their own, not world, but, their own place. Separate from everybody else, although he definitely hates Jewish people. So strange to have this conversation, given my background and who I am and what I believe. But again, I felt like it was really important to have it. And some of my friends were like, why are you giving this guy a voice? He stands for everything that you don't stand for. And, and people like this shouldn't be heard. But see, I disagree. I think that by putting people, like Richard, sort of hiding them away and either pretending they don't exist or thinking that they're in the shadows and can't really do much harm because most of the world doesn't think this way, or most of, my friends don't think this way, or whatever. I think that that's dangerous. I think the fact of the matter is, especially now, and we're in a climate where it's okay, it seems, not okay by me, but it's okay in general to be vocal and be hateful and be bigoted and racist and sexist and like all the ists that you can think of. I don't think Richard Nichols is sexist. He didn't come across as sexist. And it's an interesting thing because I consider a person like this racist and a bigot. But it doesn't seem like he necessarily thinks of himself that way, which I found fascinating. Again, getting back to why I felt like it was important to have this conversation with Richard is because I make the argument that everybody, it's just the nature of our upbringings, no matter the most liberal families we're brought up in, or the most conservative or whatever. If I'm walking down the street, let's just say down an alleyway or something, whatever, I'll just pick a scenario, and a black guy comes walking toward me, am I the average, white girl? Am I going to hold my purse a little tighter? Am I going to smile and say, hello, nice to see you? I mean, how am I going to behave? How I behave is based on whether or not this sort of subtlety of bigotry and subtlety of racism has crept into my life. And by me, I mean the royal me, you, the royal you kind of thing. You following me? I hope you are. I don't know, maybe I'm rambling a little bit, but again, I have so many thoughts about this conversation. The Southern Poverty Law Center puts the KKK membership, what they think of how many people are members, is around 6,000. According to Richard, he says that there's at least twice as many, but of course they are considered the invisible army, invisible empire, and they plan to stay that way. I drove away from Richard's house. I went to his house, and I drove away from his house thinking, really, it could be anyone. I mean, honestly. And I'm not going to lie, he was, we had a good conversation. There were moments even when we laughed with each other, which, trust me, that was surreal. But he was very charismatic. He spoke his mind. Although, he said things like white genocide. I know he's going to be listening to this episode, and he spoke of white genocide. And again, when I was sitting there, I didn't want to argue any points. I wasn't there to, change his mind. That wasn't my job. My job was to listen to what he had to say. That's what I wanted to do. My own job, I mean, self-inflicted job or whatever. Self-appointed, not inflicted. But he spoke of white genocide. I was like, white genocide, And my neighbor and I had dinner a couple nights later, and I was retelling kind of the conversation that I had with Richard. And my neighbor said, yeah, that's this rhetoric of white genocide. And we looked up the census information, the United States Census, which is done. It was last done in 2010. And it said that in the United States, 77% of the United States is white. 77% out of 100. Less than 13% are African American. Less than 13% are Hispanic. I mean, I'm not great at math. I know that's more than 100%, but you get the idea. 77% are white. That's not white genocide. Now, granted, in the future, more and more people will mix and blend, and and for me, that's a wonderful thing. I think mix everybody until we can't tell the difference anymore. Wouldn't that be great? Except for then we'd find something else to be, upset about. We'd be like, oh, I bet that guy has bigger blue veins, or that girl's got, longer toenails. I don't know. It seems like human beings always find a reason to find a difference in someone else, and it bums me out. I get emotional. Hold on. Anyway, in my perfect world, everybody loves everybody. And I know that's Pollyannic. And, in Richard's perfect world, he just doesn't want to deal with anybody that isn't white, that isn't of his quote unquote pure race. And I think, gosh, think of how much you're missing. That's what goes through my mind. It's like, God, you're missing so much literature, so many brilliant minds, so many inventions, so many this. And inventions, we talked about inventions, and I did incorrectly say that the bone saw I thought it was invented by somebody from Persia. And then I couldn't remember exactly whether it was African American or what, but I went back and it looked like the first use of the bone saw goes way, way, way back to tools like Neanderthals used, which is impressive, by the way. But some Spanish, the Spanish kind of have claim to fame on it. Doesn't matter. The point was that all of our modern conveniences, the things that keep us alive and healthy and well, the things that run our technology, the people that make us laugh, they're from everywhere. We're all from everywhere. I said to a friend of mine the other day, man, I wish that in, elementary school, they gave everybody a DNA test so that they could see that we're all coming from the same place, that we all have a little bit of everything in us. Granted, there are some people that truly are 100% whatever they are. Maybe they're the Swedish or the Norwegians, whatever. But you get what I'm saying. It's just so much. There's so much that I don't understand about humanity, which is why I do this podcast. I'm desperately trying to figure out why people think the way they think, how they feel the way they feel, what motivates all of it. All of it is important to me. Even if the voice I'm listening to is one that I wholeheartedly disagree with. Now, there were moments where, we're like, oh yeah, like we agreed that police officers, it's a hard job and they do really difficult things. Now, where the agreements diverge is where he thinks that, all African American people are, criminals who are likely going to shoot at the police officers, where I think, police officers right now are at a DEFCON 10 and a lot of innocent people are getting hurt. A lot of African Americans are terrified to be pulled over by the police, and that's something. I listened to Obama's farewell speech earlier tonight, which was an interesting thing to do right before I edit a podcast. An interview with a guy from the KKK, talk about two worlds. And President Obama was talking about how it isn't about wanting more respect, wanting more rights, wanting more of anything. It's about equality, being equal. I titled this episode Invisible in Plain Sight because, again, as I drove away from Richard's house, I thought, this could be my mailman. He was, again, super charismatic. I thought, pluck him out of this situation. He wasn't raised by other people in the KKK. He was just, a regular guy growing up in a regular place and, regular thought processes about his fellow man. And, he'd be a guy I'd have a beer with or whatever. It's like, or have casual conversation. He's a nice guy. How do you say a guy in the KKK is a nice guy? It's very confusing, but it just makes my point that much more. I don't think we fully realize the extent that hate permeates. And all I can do to combat it is to be more loving. It's the only thing I can think of. Anyway, I wrote down all these notes because I really wanted to remember everything, and I'm not going to remember everything, even with my notes. Richard does use the N-word a lot in this conversation, and obviously he's disparaging of Jewish people, and I say obviously because it's kind of a tenet of the KKK. They're not big fans of the Jews. Anyway, enough of me talking. Let's get to it. Again, trigger warnings or warnings in general, language warnings all the warnings. I hope you listen to this episode. And, yeah, that's all I got. All right, here we go. Episode 30. Richard Nichols, Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. Hi, Richard.
How you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for being on the show.
That's no problem. Glad to be here.
I appreciate it. So I found you through a series of random connections, and you were somebody I really wanted to talk to, especially in light of what's going on in politics and the world today. So you are a member of the KKK, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, and what is your, because there's different levels, right, of people, like...
Yeah, as far as the ranks?
Yes, as far as the ranks.
I am right now, I'm an Imperial officer.
Imperial officer, what does that mean?
Well, I am a senior top ranked officer in the country. Which I guess you'd say I'm an Imperial Klan.
So, I read the Quran. Is that how you say it? Quran? And it was talking about the different officers and all that. So basically that means that, for example, when a meeting takes place, so you're one of the people that kind of make sure the people in the room are who they're supposed to be and where they're supposed to be and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, I do that and make sure everything is set up properly and all chain of command is followed.
Yeah. It's very specific, isn't it?
It's similarly set up to the way our government is. You got the president, vice president, and on down. We have the same leadership structure.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you come to be part of this? Was it something that your parents were?
My family is the founding members of the Ku Klux Klan here in Pulaski, Tennessee.
Right, because it's where it...
Yeah, right now,
where it started.
About 20 minutes from here, south of here, is where it all started in 1865, and... myself and my cousin are both surviving members of a founding of the 6 members of the 6 Confederate officers that founded the Klan. We are one of the, I guess, sole survivors of it.
Yeah, so that makes you kind of like a blue blood, for example, like in a, you know what I mean, like a pure blood.
Yeah, my lineage is traced all the way to the beginning of it. Okay. So we've had a member of my family has been in the Klan since it started.
So as a kid, it was just all around you?
It was all around me. I've been around it my entire life. I've had my uncles. I've had 5 different uncles that was Grand Dragons for the Ku Klux Klan here in Tennessee alone.
And what is a Grand Dragon?
He is the chief executive officer of a state. He's the highest state officer leader in each state. Every state or realm, as we call it, has a Grand Dragon, and he is the boss, I guess you'd say, of that state.
Okay. So it's a lot like a business, like a CEO versus,
Yeah, it's pretty much just like a business. Like I said, if you look at our presidential stuff, it goes from like the president, vice president on down, and then we have secretaries, and we have cluds, which is a preacher. We have security, chiefs, and then you go down on the next level, state. A Grand Dragon would be equivalent to the governor.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. So, all right, what is... There's so much in the news right now about Richard Spencer, but he's considered somebody that's alt-right, and I was trying to do as much research as I possibly could before talking to you, and it seemed to me that in a way the Ku Klux Klan doesn't want to really be known as part of that situation. Is that true, or is that just people...
Richard Spencer.
He's the guy, the alt-right guy that's been all over the news lately.
Right. What is he doing? Apparently, I haven't watched the Right Channel News.
He's been having rallies, basically saying, America should be a white separatist country.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Ku Klux Klan is a Christian fraternal brotherhood, an American foundation. So they kind of like, we are for America and our Constitution as was originally written. Not as
before the 13th Amendment.
Yeah, before they've changed everything. When it was written in 1776, that is the Constitution we believe in.
Right.
America. We want to see it survive, and we also want to see our culture survive because we're being exterminated out by white genocide, and a lot of the media gives twists of things we say to their liking, to what they want to make us out to be a racist group that hates blacks. We're not so much, anti-black, we're pro-white. Like I say, we are separatists. We would like to be, left alone.
Okay. So, basically that means, let me know if I'm getting this wrong, the doctrine is more like take a part of America or all of America and make it all white? Is that? Or
well, that, would be a fantastic dream, I guess, come true, but I don't see that happening. But we would like to have I'm sure most in America would like to have a part of the country that is just our people there, where we're not forced, if we don't want to live in a black neighborhood, we shouldn't have to. That's like this neighborhood here. One time it was all whites, now it's probably 10 of them in this whole area right here. The rest is black. But, we coexist. I don't mess with them. I don't mix with them. I stay with my own kind.
You don't have any black friends?
There's not a black friend I know that I've...
Do you have children?
My son is deceased.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. And he passed away about 2 or 3 years ago. So, no, I have no children, which, the way society is today, I kind of feel lucky that, I don't have any coming up into what they're going to face when I'm dead and gone.
So how do you feel about, little kids who... I don't know a whole lot about the way somebody who's in the KKK would operate amongst their children. Can their children play with black kids? No, absolutely not. Chinese
I would say,
kids.
Speaking for myself, I would say no. I would say most would not want their children to be, associating or mixing with non-whites.
What is the fear there, or the concern?
It's like diversification. I mean, they take, like the prayer out of school and such as that, but yet they teach them Islam and teach them all this other stuff. That is forcing an doctrine on our children that they shouldn't have to know, like speaking Spanish in school. Why should our children have to be taught Spanish as a class on a pass or fail grade in their own country just because the Latinos have chose to come over here, some legal, most are illegal, and try to make it their country instead of ours, and we're forced to submit to their will?
What if somebody wanted to take I took French, so what if I wanted to take French so that I could go travel and
that would be your chosen decision. If you wanted to take French to go over and be able to understand it, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But
I wish I had.
Would you go over to Spanish France and expect them to kneel down to their way of life just to cater to your language and your culture?
I think the French are known for not doing that.
Okay, well... That is what, right here in America, that's what we're about. We don't want to be forced to be, like if you own a company and you don't want to hire this black guy, it might not be because...
Are you talking about affirmative action?
Yeah, stuff like that. Why should you be forced to have to give this person a job by the government, or you suffer sanctions or be labeled this or that because maybe you don't want to hire that guy? It might not be because, he don't know the job as well as this guy, then he might. But that should be a person's choice. If it's supposed to be home of the free and all that, we should be able to pick and choose who we want to hire at our company or who we choose to live by. And if we don't want our children to be forced indoctrination through school on a foreign culture, but yet they push our culture to the side and label us racist just because we're proud to be white. I mean, think about it. You got the Black Lives Matter, you have the Brown Pride, all that. They're all proud of who they are. But if we say we're proud to be white, we're automatically labeled a racist, whether you're in a Klan organization or just Joe Blow on the street.
I think for speaking for myself, I think that the image of the Klan has been historically, there have been some situations where black people, African Americans, are, murdered. Yeah. And under the name of your
the
organization.
If you look at the history, yes, there has been a lot of bombings and killings through the Klan's history.
So does it make sense then that the fear of saying,
I can understand some of the fears they have, but how can you judge somebody today on what happened years ago that a lot of us wasn't even born when that was going on, and not all of them was that way? I mean, that could have been a rogue guy like the ones in Alabama there that did that, Michael Donald. There was 2 guys that
I don't
killed
know that
him.
Story. What happened?
Well, I think it was back in the early 80s, a couple members in Alabama took a black guy out because a black guy had killed a white police officer and the jury let that guy off. So 2 rogue Klan members went out and they picked a black guy at random and they killed him. There's 2 guys, but yet they use the word Ku Klux Klan and it labels all of us as thinking, if we see a black person, we're going to go kill them. I mean, as you see, I got them right next door.
Yeah.
They look pretty healthy and alive to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not over there sitting in their front yard with them, but at the same time, they're existing, I'm existing. They do their thing. As long as they don't bother me, I ain't bothering them.
Do you feel like most of the members of the, not that you can speak for all the Klan, but do you feel like most of them have your vision on that? Or
I would feel that most members, I would be okay with saying, I'd say most Klan members in America feel that if they choose they don't want to hang with non-white people, that is their, God-given American right to do that. I'm not going to say they all hate a black. They just, maybe they would just want to see their race survive.
Do you hate black people?
I don't hate anyone, really, far as, because like the word, nigger, everybody says, that is not a skin color, that is a lifestyle. If you beat your wife or starve your kids, you're a nigger, in my book. That word's been used so many times.
No matter what color you are?
I don't care what color you are. I've met more white niggers than I ever have black, to be honest with you. I mean, I see them all the time. And they're worse than some of the black. If you go out here and you work and you take care of your family, then I don't have a problem with you. But if you stand on this corner and you're selling dope, and some working class families having to pay taxes out of their paycheck just so your family can sit over and collect food stamps and get pre-housing, and you've got a new Cadillac in the driveway, but he's driving a beat-up Ford, you're a nigger to me. And I don't care if you're white, black, brown, yellow, it don't matter.
So here's a question. If, in a worst-case scenario, let's say you need surgery, do you make sure that the blood you're getting is from a white person, or do you care at that point, or you just want to stay alive? Or
I would rather it be from a white person. I mean, but I don't know if we always have that choice.
I don't think we do have a choice at all. I don't think.
But if I was like going into surgery today and they was going to have to give me blood, yes, I am the type that would make it a point to say, don't give me no non-white blood. Which how do I know they really do that? I'm knocked out under anesthesia, so they could give me anything.
Sure.
If they give me any, they might charge me double for it. I don't know, but.
It's an interesting philosophical question, because if you don't know how it,
exactly, you don't know.
Yeah, and you're no different tomorrow than you are today. It's sort of an interesting.
Yeah, it is. That is interesting. That really gives me something to think about, because I'd hate to know I've got some black blood running through me that I didn't put in there.
Even if it saved your life?
I wouldn't care. I'd rather die.
Really?
I would.
That's
personally.
Such an intense.
I know that's intense. And
what's the word? Like an intense. I don't know what the
I'm
word.
100%,
Doctrine, I guess.
Yes, I'm 100% pro-white. I want to see I'm a white man, and I'm proud to be white, and I want to stay white. You
have blue eyes, and it looks like you have dark hair. Have you ever had genetic testing or anything, or just to see if you're 100%
No, I can't say I went and had a DNA test for my whole family lineage, but I do know that. What family history we've traced back, which is all the way to the 1700s, there is not...
On both sides, mom
and
dad?
On both sides, mom and dad, and all the way through, there has not been a drop of black blood to that
What about Asian or anything
None
else?
of that.
No.
I consider myself and my family pure Aryan blood.
So, this is with us, your girlfriend, your partner?
This is my old lady, yes.
Yeah, okay, or your wife, I guess. So, when you guys met... did you meet in a group where you knew that you had the same ideology, or was that something that came up later?
It came up later, but she can pretty much tell you out of when we first met, the first 5 questions she was asked was a question I've asked anybody: you ever been with a nigger or a non-white? That is a standard question for me.
So, given what you said a minute ago, that means any even white guy that treats his family poorly, or
I mean, period. I mean, if a woman has been with a non-white person,
you're not interested.
Oh no, I don't want to. She has
tainted herself.
Oh yeah, we'll use that word. Yeah.
Okay, I don't mean to speak for you, but
well,
I'm
that's
kind
fine.
of guessing where you're going.
Yeah, that way we got some PG words, because I have other words.
You don't have to be PG. You can be absolutely yourself if you want.
I mean, to me, that when a white woman lays down with a non-white, she has defiled herself worse than anything. I mean, she just destroyed it. I mean, it's like when a white person has a non-white kid, that lineage of that family, if it was white up to that point, is destroyed. Mm-hmm. Everything after that child, from that child's offspring on, it is never what it was before.
So your family came here in the 1700s, you said?
1600s and something. She got it wrote down.
To Europe, but to America, you were one of the founding... Your family is part of the founding fathers and the Mayflower situation, or...
I don't know if we was on the Mayflower or Christopher Columbus. We probably was on one of them ships. So,
Well, I mean, the reason I ask is because technically America doesn't belong.
No, I mean,
anybody.
we're all foreigners over here. If you go
Right.
back that far, we came over here. The Native Americans was actually here first, I guess you'd say. And,
Yeah.
But
So are they even more American than the people who came? Native Americans then.
well, anybody that was here before the white man found it, I guess you'd say they would be your 100%, Native American, people that was here.
But you don't consider yourself an American in that respect. You consider yourself a Eurasian or
Yeah,
Euro.
I ain't no
European.
Eurasian.
No, sorry, European, not Eurasian. European.
I'd shoot myself if I was Eurasian.
Descendant.
Sorry, you know what I meant.
Descendant.
A European descendant.
Yeah, that's what I would say I would be.
What is your? Do you know what's your genetic? I know you didn't do DNA, but
I am German
are you
and
German?
Irish.
German Irish. Okay, all right.
Which, as you know, Irish was the first people that was enslaved before the blacks. The Irish people were slaves.
Yeah, slavery's been happening
Everywhere,
since the dawn of time.
Yeah. And I mean, we are to this day still labeled as that, as by most of you blacks. There's a lot that don't see it that way, but a lot of them do. They look at it like, okay, you're white, so you're a racist because your ancestor had mine as a slave. I've never owned no slave, so I don't feel I should be labeled or put out on the side for that when I've never owned one. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it might be great, but
do you find that anyone that is non-white is inferior to a white person? Or is it just you just want the white people over here and the black people over here?
Yes, I would rather have my people here, and then they can go wherever they want to do what they want.
So it's not about inferiority or anything like that.
Well, I mean, it
for
speaks
you,
for
I should
itself.
say.
Well, if you look at it like it is, I mean, you just look at the difference between the white race and the other races. I mean, you look at the levels. They want to holler all the blacks are poor, so they're on a lower education level. That is BS. They're on a lower educational level because they're probably too busy worrying about rap music and.
Are you talking about standardized education?
Well, all of it. If you stop and look at the big picture, you look at you take a white person and a black person, and you put them in the same job. That white person is going to excel quicker than that black person.
Across the board, do you think that?
More or less, I would say across the board it would be on a given fair take.
Because of their upbringing, or because
I would say because of their ethics and their way of looking at things. Because the white man, I mean, we know we got to get up and go to work and take care of our family. Most white people do not want to look as the government as our meal ticket through life. I mean, when they try to say, "Oh, look, the blacks are on the poverty level and food stamps." That is not the white person's fault. That is that black person and his upbringing and their way that they've been taught to live that way.
But you said a little while ago that more white people that are on the government dole.
Oh, I know a lot of them. When I said the white people, I said I know more white niggers than I know black niggers, because you got these whites that are, I guess they want to imitate it. They get, a copy of some rap CD and put it in, and then they think they're a gangster. Well, they're wanksters to me. I mean,
sagging britches
and all that stuff, running around trying to talk like one. That's pure trash to me, and I have no use for them. I mean, listen to the rap music. I'm sure you've heard some rap songs. What is 90% of what they call gangster rap music? What are they talking about besides selling drugs and treating women like whores and shooting police officers? How many white musicians and bands and music you hear that they talk about, let's go sell some dope and let's shoot some police and this woman's a hoe and all that?
Well, I guess punk music, which is historically white.
But if you just look at the balance between the music, there you go.
So
Hank Jr. ain't saying let's go shoot some police officers.
No, not so much. He does sing about drugs a lot.
Well, yeah, he does sing about it, but actually do the research on him and see how much drugs he's really done. And, he used to take pills back long ago, but look at him today. He might talk about smoking some pot.
You talking about Hank 3?
No, I'm talking about Hank Williams Jr.
Is that the third?
That's the second.
Hank
Wait,
the third
is the third, is he dead?
No. Senior's dead.
Senior's dead.
Hank Williams Sr.'s dead. Hank Jr. is Hank the Third's daddy.
Got it.
Bocephus,
right. He did some drugs.
Well, yeah, I mean, who hasn't? I mean, I've smoked my share of pot in my day, but I'm not out here robbing somebody.
I understand.
And I'm not knocking some old lady in the head for her disability check to think I'm cool. And I'm not out on the corner selling dope.
Where is the Klan's vision on religions in general? Is it just Christian, that's it, and get rid of all the Jewish people, get rid of all the
Well,
Muslim
everybody
people?
knows the Jews are the enemies of the world. They're not just the enemies of the white people. If you do your history on it.
Everybody you mean in the Klan?
No, the Klan is a Christian organization. I mean, we are founded on Christianity.
Jesus was Jewish.
Well, they say that. I mean, I've heard other thoughts on that. Well, even if you looked at it and said Jesus is Jewish, look who offered him up for the sacrifice. They had a choice: a murderer or Jesus. The Jews themselves sacrificed Jesus. They took a murderer over Jesus Christ, and that's why he said, do not judge them, Father, for thou not know what they do.
But what about his other tenets about loving everyone and brothers and sisters?
Well, we probably all are brothers and sisters in there, but if you start getting into religion, then you open a can of worms. It's got so many different scenarios it could go. I mean, look at it as who actually wrote the Bible. The Bible is a bunch of compounded books put together into one. Jesus didn't sit down and write the Bible. God did not sit down and write the Bible. The Bible was written by man. So you have to also have that look at it of thinking, okay, who's to say them people didn't sit down and write this book to suit their own times and themselves?
Well, I'm sure that they did.
That is one of my beliefs. I mean, a lot might disagree with that, but that is my personal belief. I mean, Jesus didn't write that book.
Why do you think God made all the races?
How do we know he made all the races like that originally? I mean, you hear about Adam and Eve. You don't hear about Adam and Steve and Leroy and all that. You hear about Adam and Eve, and then Eve tempted Adam, and boom, got kicked out of, the Garden of Eden. And from there, as you read your stories, you see there's been like a downhill thing ever since.
Where does the Klan put women?
We are
because it's a fraternal organization. Right?
Yeah, it's a fraternal, patriotic brotherhood organization, based on Christian values and beliefs. Women are very held high esteem in the Klan. I mean, that is one of our violations. Disrespecting the virtues of a womanhood can get you booted out of the Klan, or, anything can happen over that. I mean, you do not disrespect a woman. A woman is a creature of God, too, that should be, cherished and protected at all costs, because she is the one that has to carry our children and, deliver for the future. So the Klan holds, values for the woman very high. But a woman also has to hold herself up very high, too. Mm-hmm.
Is there like a Klan dating site and stuff? I mean, there's one for everything else. Facebook, yeah.
I've not seen no Klan dating site. Maybe that gives me an idea. I might have to pass that along to somebody. They got farmers.com.
Don't tell me I gave you that idea.
Yeah, you just kind of made me touch on something. We got farmers.com and the rest of it. Maybe we need to, clan.com. Yeah, you got all the black.com, ebony.com, all them other ones. Yes, you just might have hit on something. We might have to give you that.
Oh, man, don't give me the credit. Don't give me the credit.
We might have to give you the credit for it. Might go get that copyrighted because we might have a Klan dating site.
You can just have it. I don't need the credit. What is the Invisible Empire? Is that the same thing as the Klan, or is that like something within the Klan? Or
that is the Klan. The Invisible Empire.
Okay.
Think about it.
When I was reading it, it made it seem like it were two separate things.
No, the Invisible Empire is the Klan. I mean, if you just look at it.
But you're not that invisible. I mean,
no, I'm not.
It took 4 people to find you.
More.
Yeah, I'm not invisible. I mean, because if you take a stand for your beliefs, and you're not afraid to stand out here. See, I don't even cover my face. You look around on me, you won't see no veil stuff covering my face because I don't care who knows I am. I've been out so long, it don't matter. So I 100% believe in what I say, and I have no problem with anybody knowing who I am.
How do you feel about other Klansmen who do have a problem with it? Do you think
that is no, I don't hold it against them, because you have people that if they showed their face, they could lose their job. They're in a threat of losing their job. And plus, invisible. There you go once again. You don't know who that is. He could be the guy that served you your breakfast this morning.
Right.
Or he could be the one that brings your mail.
Even the most liberal of my friends have moments where I'm like, granted, it's not on such an extreme. I would consider your belief system extreme comparatively to the person walking down the street going like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be in this neighborhood.
Yeah, they go down Broadway and they see a group of blacks come in and they kind of step to the side of it.
Right.
And in a way that would be, you could say that person was a racist then, because you've seen a black and you stepped over.
At least a bigot.
I mean, that's the way people would label it. But if you look at the statistics of your crimes, nationwide.
Well, regardless of that, I think there's just an inherent racism that is permeating throughout the world. You know, there is a thing about human beings where we are born and we seek out our kind, whatever that means, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican or a white person or an African American. I think there is a safety in the pack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is. There's strength in numbers.
Well, and I think there's just a feeling of belonging that so many people maybe don't have at the root of who they are, which is why things like religion and spirituality and, you know, groups of people who stick together, you know, exist.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd all be one big mishmash. But that's just not how the human ego works.
No.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Well, I mean, such it is either way. Okay, so I wrote down a couple questions because I knew that we would have a really, interesting serpentine conversation, and I didn't want to forget stuff. So, is there a difference between white supremacy and white separateness? And I think you kind of answered that when I said, do you feel like other races are inferior? And you sort of said in socioeconomically, but is white supremacy different to you than white separateness? Because you're looking for a utopia which is white separate, correct?
Yeah, I would like to see even if it was just one state to where all, you know, the white people that feel the same way, that they want to see their race survive, could be without threat of being a finger pointed saying, oh, that's a racist state because they just whites want to be there and they don't want nobody else.
Which state would you pick in the U.S.?
That's a hard
I know which one I would guess for you. It would be Idaho, just because there's already so many. No offense to
I
Idaho.
don't think I'd want to be in Idaho because of all the Mormons out there. I don't think I'd want no part of that. Somewhere in the
Utah.
Northwest.
I thought Utah.
Utah. That's it. Excuse me. See, I get them confused.
Sorry.
One of them would be all right, but I wouldn't want to be in Utah. But yeah, Northwest somewhere. I wouldn't want to be in Florida. It's too many hurricanes. He'd probably be out in the Northwest somewhere.
Is there discussion amongst the Klan of trying to figure out how to make a state all your very own?
That's what a lot of Klan people and other white organizations have said many times, that they would like to have a state just for the white people. But I mean, how would you ever make that happen?
Yeah.
You know, how can you take a state and do that when you already got people there? Are you going to eradicate them out like you would the plague? I mean, you can't. I mean, it's just not going to happen that way. You know.
Well, in some place like Dubai, they build islands.
That would be cool.
You could build yourself an island in the middle of the Atlantic or something.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay, so we talked about
as far as supremacists and separatists.
A separatist, thank you. See, you got me back on the track again.
Yeah, a separatist, I mean, that's a term they use in the media a lot, and I guess people's picked up on that word. That's just somebody that would want to be with their own kind. Yeah. A supremacist, I guess you would say, according to, the government's idea of it, would be a white person that thinks he's superior to everybody else, which I guess in a way we are. Look what the whites have done for the world, what we've accomplished and created and made, and if it wasn't for the white people, where would the world be today?
But what about the African Americans who've invented things, or the Muslims?
What have they invented?
Well, like the bone saw and glass and radiology and all sorts of things. I mean,
they invented the bone saw.
Mm-hmm.
So there was an educated African American. But I mean, I'm sure everybody has got a purpose and a contribution they've made to the world. But you do the facts and figures on it. Where did black people learn that? I have not read that they invented a bone saw.
There's all sorts of websites that you can.
But is it true knowledge there though? Because there's so much fake stuff out there.
No, I think it's true for sure. Yeah, I think so. A lot of that stuff is very well documented. Inventions like, glass was invented in like the 400s or something like that.
I thought glass was invented by lightning.
In the Middle East.
We know when lightning hits the sand, it also turns to glass.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
That's how I believe it might have came about. Somebody seen that and then went from there with extreme heat, which it might have been an African American.
Sand is from, I think it's from Iran, maybe Persia. I think it's Persian. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look it up. It's been a while since I read all that stuff, but. I like to read all these things, so I feel prepared when I talk about it.
Like that. I have not read that, but I'll have to check it and read that.
Well, going back to the thing about blood, so that's one thing, having another race's blood put in you, but what if you're having, let's say you have a brain trauma, and the the most elite brain surgeon in the world is an African American or a Chinese or a Japanese guy, would you be like, nope, let me die? Or would you let this person operate on
If
you?
I was having a brain tumor, I probably wouldn't know what was going on. I would hope whoever was in charge of my living will would say, no, let him go on.
Really? You would prefer to die?
Yes, I would just rather not. Because, not saying he don't know what he's doing, I would just rather be took care of by my own kind.
Okay.
You know, that might sound a little far-fetched or crazed, but...
Far-fetched. Going to the doctor always asks.
The what?
I've asked at every doctor I've ever been to when I go on the phone. If I made an appointment right now, I would ask...
Are you white?
Are you white? What nationality are you?
Oh, interesting.
I mean, that's just how I am. I'm not saying everybody
they don't
else
have to be
is
American, though. In your viewpoint, it's okay if they're European white, correct?
As long as they're a white.
Got it.
I don't want no Sam Cooke working on me. You know,
but he could sing
Nat
to you.
King Cole. I don't want to hear. I don't listen.
So
to
you don't
music.
listen to any music by any? Oh, interesting.
The only music I could say I've listened to that I guess would be a black influence would be Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis.
So you definitely influenced by black. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know this, but
Yeah.
I listen. Yes, I give them credit. They was they're superstars of our. You know.
What about the fact that they were not? That they had friends that were African American and such. Like
Well, I mean, they had to live with it, not me.
So you're okay with people that don't have your same viewpoint. You
Yeah,
you want them to be white.
I can't expect every person to say, "Oh, yeah, he's got the answer for everything. I got to be just like him." No, I don't hold that against them. What a person chooses to do is that's their God-given right. I can't control that, and I wouldn't want to.
So
it don't mean I have to associate with them.
Assuming you think that Jesus is white.
Well, he better be. That's what
Even though he's from the Middle East? In Jerusalem?
Well, I mean, that's what they say. I mean, like I said, there you go. There's one of them can of worms that you could open and go all day long on. I don't philosophize on the Christianity part. Yes, I believe in God. I believe he, creator of all. And yes, I believe he's white.
Creator of all, but not...
Well, I mean, he did make the monkeys too, okay? And they evolved. I don't believe that white man evolved from monkeys. I don't. I mean, I really don't. There's the end of it where you can be labeled as a racist.
Well, technically, science says that we evolved from proto-humans. That monkeys are their own subset of animal or mammal, and then we are another. But
if you stop and look at that, how did we go from if we was that? Here we are today. Look how we've evolved. Compared to way other.
You mean
things
being upright? Versus...
Yeah, we're upright. We're not bent over. Look at our intelligence levels that they have. Look what we've accomplished. Where did all this come from?
Good question.
Where did we get all this technology and this knowledge?
So you don't believe in evolution, or you do?
Well, we had to evolve from somewhere.
Okay.
I don't think that they just went boom and there's white man standing there, which would be a utopia dream, I guess. But we evolved from something, but I don't believe there's no damn monkeys. At least I hope I didn't come from no monkey.
Well, I don't believe that we evolved from monkeys. I believe that we evolved from
if you look at Darwin's theory, that's what he basically said.
Well, proto-humans. I mean...
Well, I don't even know what a proto-human is.
The
still
first
don't sound
human,
right.
the
Neanderthals
and Cro-Magnon, things like that.
I just believe however we got here, whether it be, they said let there be light, which that is, the belief that we all have been shown, Of course, if you look at Allah and all them, what is Allah? Have you done your research on him?
I've read the Quran. Yeah, the Allah. Yeah,
the
Muslim.
His wives. I mean, do you realize the ages of his wives?
I'm sure at the time they went pretty young.
Very young.
Yeah.
So basically, anybody that in my mind, you are worshiping a child molester.
Interesting.
Is how I look at it, and I'm sure there's many others that look at that. When you have a kid like you're a child molester. I don't care what era you was. That's child molester.
In America, it was not uncommon for a white man, in say around the turn of the century, to have much younger brides as well.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's an unfortunate history of humanity.
And that is child molesting in my eyes too.
Yeah,
like that. Any of that, like the Mormons. Forever and ever and ever. They was all down with that. Multiple wives.
There are sects of the
Mormon Church actually supported that forever. And then they finally got away from it when the government started busting them for that stuff.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, we're not going to recognize that no more.
Yeah.
Well, it's too late. Y'all done been believing that your whole life.
Yeah, it's hard to be live and let live when children are being hurt.
Yeah, I'm totally against that. And the Klan is too. Anybody that hurts a child like that don't deserve to be locked up in prison.
Even an African-American child? Doesn't matter. Any child.
A child is a child, whether it be black, brown, red, yellow. A child is a child. It's not their fault they're brought into this world like that, of whatever nationality they might be. If you hurt a child, you don't deserve to be arrested and put in the penitentiary. I mean, let's come on now. Let's be for real. Don't put a child molester in the penitentiary. Don't charge him as a child molester. You take him out and you blow his brains out and be done with it. That's how I feel about it, and I'm sure 90%...
Although I believe the child molesters do get their asses kicked in jail.
They do to a point. I mean, yeah. I've been in prison myself, and I've seen them actually, and I actually seen them protected. Really? The actual people in charge of the prison would protect them.
That they put them in cell, yeah.
That, and they'd let them walk around like you get to a minimum. There's prisons, you get to a minimum yard where there's chomos is what they're called in prison, walking around. You touch him, or you make a derogatory remark that he's a child molester, all he has to do is run up to the police and say, my life, and they take him out, and they'll send that guy that might have said, I got an 8-year-old daughter at home, and you're in here for molesting an 8-year-old. They'll send that guy up in security, take his privileges from him.
Right.
When they shouldn't have never had to see that guy to start with. That dude should have been lynched or hung. Anybody going to be hung, child molesters and terrorists, should be hung by their damn, even though they label us terrorists, we're not terrorists.
Right, they label the KKK terrorists?
Yeah, we are the original boys in the hood, I guess you'd say. We're America's, I guess you'd say America's homegrown terrorists, but we're not terrorists. We are American patriots that are tired of seeing our country given away to the foreign lands. Look where our troops are right now. Why is our troops all over the world?
Well, our troops are in Afghanistan. If you ask me, if you're asking my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion. I think that, and you know what? I am happy for the service of military. I would never diss the military. No. I think they're very brave men and women.
They are the bravest.
Yeah, and I come from a long line of military on my mother's side, so I would never disrespect them. But I think that. And when we were in Iraq, it was for oil. When we were in Afghanistan, it's for the things that run these computers, because they have that earth that has the little crystalline in it that they mine, and that's what powers all of our electronics. So, if you want to get down to the political and the economical reason for war, war is money, period. And I think a lot of fat cats, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it.
They're fat cats.
I think a lot of fat cats are very willingly send our young to war to fight their battles because it makes them richer. And and you know what? Every military person I know, brave as hell, would gladly go because they're serving their country, and they swore to that. And they also swore to protect the underdog, which, unfortunately, many countries have a lot of underdogs where they're being systematically wiped out by the people that are in power. So.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. But also, on the same hand, why should our troops be sent, like you said, to Afghanistan for whatever reason?
To power our iPhones, really.
Why not just go over there and kick every one of them's ass in about 2 weeks and be done with it? We have the power and
I think it's a lot more complicated. I don't know that we have the power necessarily.
There's the power, trust me. There's ways of winning a war.
I mean, you could, I guess, totally annihilate an entire country.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Look at all the innocent people that would die.
How do you know they're innocent?
Well, children, you just said nobody should hurt children.
No, they shouldn't, but the parents and the people of them children should realize, okay, these people, just like that Al-Qaeda and ISIS, they surround themselves in them cities, and the civilians outnumber ISIS in these towns.
They're scared to lose their families, and they're...
Then there's your patriot, see? War is hell, don't get me wrong. People die every day. There's American troops dying as we speak right now in a foreign land.
I know, yeah.
And you got these peace lovers over here that'll spit on them troops when they come and call them murderers, just like they did in the Vietnam War.
Do people still do that?
You see it all the time on the news. These idiots, I don't even know what the term they use them for. I usually have somebody that gives me my college words like that lays them out for me. But you got people that actually would look at a soldier today and say, oh, you went over there and killed this one or that one. Look at what's been happening over here. people doing it in the name of ISIS. I mean, look at the police officers that got shot. Why are we playing these people's games? Basically, you're negotiating with terrorists.
Well, again, at the end of the day, I think follow the money. That's what I always say. Follow the money.
Well, the money is the root of all evil.
Follow the money, you find your answers. And whether it's a test on bacon and why bacon is good or bad for you versus, I mean, honestly, it's just you have to follow the money. If you follow the money, you find out whoever paid for the test or the service or the experience or is making the most money or is selling the most bombs or whatever. Follow the money. And there's your answer. I think that's unilaterally
with the world, then, is we're letting the Jewish dollar, which controls the world.
Well, I wouldn't say that. You and I differ on that opinion.
Well, that's like the Jews could never be in the Klan. You'll never see a Jewish member in the Klan. Like, everybody considers the Jews a dirty race.
Really?
Yes, they do.
And that is because
the Jews are the enemies of the world, not just the white people.
Because of Jesus, or because?
I couldn't tell you why all they said. I just know that.
Well, that's an interesting question. So there's
so many different reasons.
Why do you feel the way that you feel? Is it because you think you were taught to feel that way?
I feel my way is because my eyes have been open for a long time. I actually am one of these ones that was able to step aside of everything. I mean, I've sat down with black leaders in America and listened to their tell me, you're in the Klan, you're a racist, you want to hang my grandfather. And I listen to this, and I give them their platform to talk on it, and then I give them my reasonings. I mean, I've not owned nobody, no slaves. I didn't do anything to your people, but yet you and a lot like you, that's all you hear. Like the Black Lives Matter, that's all you hear. They can go out here and protest, block our interstates, burn buildings, and do all this stuff.
White people do that too.
Where? When?
Well, in LA, in Seattle, during the trade. Remember the trade riots that happened in Seattle? About, I don't know, when NAFTA passed.
Yeah, that was when Bill Clinton passed the North American Free Trade Agreement.
There were riots. Mexico. There were riots happening in Seattle.
Yeah, look at why.
There was a great photograph of somebody holding a sign saying, anti-corporation and kicking in a window, and he was wearing Nike shoes, which is, total irony. Well, it's total irony. It's like, here's a massive corporation that person was wearing Nike, and they're protesting against. This is, the conflict of most people's rhetoric is that they are not 100% anything, Well, but that's why I'm asking, like, for you, what is the fear? I guess, what is the fear of is you feel like that white people aren't going to exist anymore? Is that the fear?
Oh, we're being bred out of existence. White genocide. I mean, that's a term you'll hear everywhere. We, as a race, as white people, are the true minorities. The white people are the minorities. They want us to have white guilt because we're white. We're supposed to automatically feel bad and feel sorry for everybody else. But yet at the same time, if you actually do the research, the white people is what keeps this world rolling. They're the ones that's most white people are the ones holding down the jobs. They're the ones that's making the economy roll. It ain't Al Sharpton up there, all them back taxes he owed it. He didn't pay. Of course, everybody knows he didn't pay it. He snitched on his own kind that was selling heroin to keep from going to prison over it. Now, he can sit up there every time you see a black, and I see it, and I know you being in Nashville, you have to see it up there with that, because when I lived up there, I seen it. You let a police officer pull a black over, and the second they walk up there, he's, he got me because I'm black. Even though he's standing there with a gun on him 80% of the time, you seen some of them cops that was shot. One actually went to grab a gun, and because that police officer shot him, he's a racist and has to go through a trial.
Well, I think there are definitely bad apples within the police force.
Sure, but think of what they mostly
deal with.
Every day.
I know.
I mean,
every day.
I
interviewed a police officer for my podcast, and we talked about that. Is that it doesn't get reported. All the non-incidents don't get talked about. The fact that police officers all over this country are lovely, wonderful, trying to help their fellow mankind.
My dad was a police officer in Nashville in the 70s.
Okay.
I mean, like that youngster, the young little black kid, pulled a BB gun or whatever it was out. Yeah, that was sad that a child got shot. But look at that. You pulled a gun out
But we grew up, like, I don't know how old you are, but...
I'm 45.
Okay, so we grew up in a time when kids ran around, right? And we were on our bicycles, and we had, guns, and we had bows and arrows.
But they didn't look as real as they are today.
I guess that's a good point. They
and
don't
you pull
look
out
as
one
real.
on a police officer, and it's dark or whatever. What is he supposed to do? Stop and say, can I see that and make sure that's not a real gun? When it could be a real gun and be killed.
Which is the one with the guy running away and got shot in the back.
I've seen that on like an interstate
and he
bridge.
wasn't wearing. Yeah, he was like running, and he was in t-shirts and shorts, and he was running away. And
there's been so many. They all try to
run away.
so many. Well, they all try to run.
I'd try and run away too.
I wouldn't. I have never fought or disrespected a police officer in my life.
I understand, but I'm saying if somebody was shooting at me.
Well, that's a different thing. You're shooting at you, you're running. But at the same time, I don't feel sorry for that person unless I know the entire story. I always like to know both sides. And what I've seen in the last year, I've only, I think, seen just a couple occasions to where maybe the police officer overreacted too quick. But then you don't know the situation they're dealing with every day. When you're dealing with gangsters out there, every stop you make, there's one with a gun or some kind of violent thing. Sure, you're going to be a little bit on edge, and some of them probably, it gets to them, and they might overreact and act before they think it through. I could see that, where, you're pulling this. You never know when he walks up to that window, that person's going to blow him away.
When I spoke with the police officer, Karen Lynch is her name, and we talked about how there isn't a whole lot of resources. There's just no money to be able to help officers with post-traumatic stress disorder or even negotiations or dealing with super stressful situations, which to this, now, things are really, really stressful.
Yeah, because them cops do not know anybody they pull over or any call they go. They don't know what they're walking up in. So I feel so. I don't see how they do it anyways.
Yeah, it's true. I wouldn't want that job. I wouldn't want to be president. There are a lot of jobs I would not want.
They would not want me to have a badge and gun on me.
So what do you think of the new administration that's coming in January?
I like Trump, not because, anything that's been in the media. I just like him because I have seen and followed him, for years. Since I can remember, I've seen him, he was bankrupt at one time, but he's got his own self out of it each time and rebuilt and come back bigger. So he's somebody that has learned by mistakes way before he's ever even got to the point he's at now. And he's a very smart businessman. And I believe when he gets in there and people will give him a chance, whether they like him or not, and not look at him as thinking, oh, he's a racist. How can he be a racist when he's married to a foreigner? Oh, if you white people vote for me, I'm going to change the civil rights. No, that he ain't even came close to that. He disavowed anything had to do with it. He actually did not want any connection whatsoever, like when David Duke made his comment. I'm sure if Donald Trump and David Duke would have been in the same room, Donald Trump would have probably had David Duke escorted out because he's just not down with that. Donald Trump is an American. And he is, I believe, the only candidate that ran that's got enough sense to maybe turn America around and make us strong again. Because one, he ain't going to be picked on or bullied around by none of these people in the world. I guarantee you that. They do not want to flick his trigger because he's sitting on something that will definitely...
Well, certainly Twitter about it.
Yeah, I do know that. I follow him on Twitter myself, so yes. But if you just look at his like his business savvy he has, so anything he gets America in where it's going to involve money, the first thing he's going to look at is, if we invest this much, what is going to be our end result of what we take out of it? So he's going to be looking at America's best interest on any economical deal he's involved in. And then they holler. I had people down here tell me back months ago, why Donald Trump's going to take my food stamps from me. He's going to take this right here from me. He's never said that. He said he would go through the system and kick the ones that didn't need to be on it off. And I'm 100% with him. I don't draw food stamps. I don't want them. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to have me a card I can go in there and just throw across there. But why should I have a card that a taxpayer is paying for and then he gets injured or can't work or she can't work and have to battle the system to get it? But you got people up there, go to the food stamp office today and see how many's in there. There'll be a little bit of everybody in there. But look how easy some get it. Compared like the Mexicans, they come over here and don't even speak the language, but they get all.
Most of the Mexicans I know are super hard workers, and they're sending money home to their families.
To their families to get them over here.
Well, you and I differ on that opinion, whether or not.
I don't think they need to be. Now, don't get me wrong. If they come over here in a legal way, the proper channels, and they come over here and they got them a job and they work and they pay their taxes just like every other American has to, I have no problem with a Mexican being over here holding a job. Because if he's doing the right thing, then he's doing what every other person is required to do. But these ones that sneak across the border and they bring all their drugs when they come, and they come over here and they jump into construction and take over a brick job that, you used to have black brick masons. I can remember when that's all you seen laying brick and block was blacks. You don't see that hardly no more because the Mexicans have took that completely away from them by underbidding. That is what I'm so against on that. If you're charging $10, you're paying this man $10 an hour to do a job, and this Mexican walks up and says, "I'll do it for $5," that is wrong, and he should be booted out of this country for that. Because we all have to live. Now, I don't think a McDonald's person working at McDonald's should be making the money they're asking for flipping a hamburger. I mean, that's just crazy.
You mean the minimum wage hikes? Is that what you mean?
I mean, don't get me wrong on that. I've seen somewhere where they're saying they just want to pay them $15, $16 an hour to work at McDonald's. I don't see it. I mean, more power to you if you do, but I mean, to me, that sounds like that's more of a black thing of wanting more money because they're always hollering they're oppressed.
I think it's just human beings in America are hungry. I mean, there's a lot of poverty here now, and I think
and why is there poverty
people,
here?
Well,
this
I mean, there's a lot of reasons.
This country's only so big.
That is true.
And look how many people we got, and look how many people keeps coming over here, and the people that we can't, like the wall, Donald Trump. I'm with that 100%. If I had the blocks to help build it, I'd donate everything I could to get it up there. I have a better solution than a wall, but that needs to be done. Control it. If me and you right now took off and crossed the border into Mexico illegally, what would they do with us?
Put us in jail.
Okay, then. Why is this not happening here? They catch them up. I
read that last year 3 million illegal immigrants were rounded up and sent home. Last year.
That's what you were, but who controls all that writes the stuff? The government can censor anything.
Sure.
Just like if they wanted to, they'd come and censor everything me and you've talked about if they knew about it. They could tell you.
I hope they don't.
Well, no, I do too. But they could come and say, no, you can't put none of this, you got to say this.
Well, some of my friends also joked that because I went online and I found the Koran. Am I saying that wrong? Koran? Yeah. That I read that, and then I went to the KKK website and read some of the articles on there and all that. They're like, "Oh, now you're going to be on a watch list." I'm like, I mean, it's my right to read whatever I want.
Yeah, it's your God.
So yeah, there are, but of course there are certain things that flag us. I was reading the autobiography of Malcolm X in the airport, and I was on the phone with my father, and I joked with him because I was just reading it openly as I was walking to my plane or walking to the gate. I mean, I hadn't even gotten through security yet. And I said, wouldn't it be funny and I've never been pulled out and searched ever. None of my stuff. And I've never had any of that stuff happen to me. And I'm talking on the phone with my dad, and I say, wouldn't it be weird or kind of funny if because I'm reading this book, and of course every airport's got cameras everywhere. They see what you do at all times, or see what your mouth is doing, like what you're saying and all that stuff. Yeah. And in some airports, of course, they're reading your heat signature as well. In the bigger airports. Anyway, so I'm reading this. I was like, wouldn't it be so interesting? And I got pulled out. I got all my stuff searched, everything. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? And the only thing I could think of that I did any differently than any other time was reading that book. So it does make you wonder. Like, everyone's listening at all times.
They are. Big Brother is always listening.
Yeah, I think so too.
If they can take and zoom in on you, I mean, you've been on Google Earth before, haven't you?
Yeah, a couple times. Sure.
And you type in somebody's address.
That
is
so weird to me. I think that is the weirdest thing that you can do that.
Yeah, and that's so just creepy. What we have access to.
I know.
Think of the ones when they go and they're seeing live as it happens right there. Now, if they can zoom in and read the date on a dime with that. You don't think they couldn't hear if they wanted to? Oh, let's see what he's saying right now.
Well, I've said that forever. It's always a conspiracy until it's proven true. Like, no one thought their phones were being listened to, and then the NSA said, guess what? We're listening to your phones. And nobody thought that, of course.
I told everybody before they even started doing it. I said, hey, I got word that the law was working with Facebook that if you post a gun, and I've seen it 100 times, I've had so many accounts.
But your Facebooks are private, right? Because I couldn't actually really see much of your Facebook, only a couple pictures.
Yeah, because
the snarly dog.
It's your settings. You can do yours that way. You can do it where nobody can send you a friend request, and only friends can see who your friend. And that's the way mine is. Because I get so many shut down. It's pathetic. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how many accounts they've shut down.
And really?
And it's sometimes yes, I ask for it.
How'd you lose your finger, may I ask?
I was in a car wreck when I was 18.
Oh.
And it messed my hand up pretty bad, so they had to... You know, you're talking about Spencer, and there's David Duke talking about him right now. They got... You know what the Myoke is, of course, right?
The what?
The Myoke.
The Myo? M-I-O?
M-I-O-A-K.
Myoke. No, I do not. I don't think I do.
That's what you see on the Klan robes. The cross.
Is that the cross?
Yeah.
The burning cross? Or
No,
it's not. It looks.
We light the crosses. We do not burn them.
Right. I saw that. So it looks like a Celtic cross almost.
Yeah, that is. I've had my account shut down over that picture like that.
Really?
Yeah. Now you tell me, why would that be so bad?
I'm trying to think of which cross I'm going. Okay, no, it's not. The Celtic cross has got that wider shape. So you have I'm looking at a photograph on your wall, and that's a lit up cross. Is it on?
No, it's not
on fire.
No, it's not. That's just regular crosses.
So what is the...
I'm going to show you a picture of one so you'll see.
The reasoning behind lighting the crosses on fire.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Oh, no, I haven't ever seen that image.
I've had accounts shut down over that.
I've never even seen that before.
Well, that's on every Klan robe you'll ever see anybody in a robe.
I haven't seen a lot of those. Okay, I know I just asked you one question about the crosses. Okay, so this is a green robe and a white robe. What's the difference between the two colors?
That green robe is a Grand Dragon robe. That's what I'm most famous for.
Okay, and the white one?
That's an Imperial Officer's robe.
Okay, I got it. And how many different colors are there?
Like an Imperial Wizard. I mean, some of them wear purple robe, other ones wear blue. He's the only one that's going to wear that.
Okay.
And then, like, say, the Vice President of the Caliph, say your Imperial colors was what, like that white and gold robe you just seen right there. That's an Imperial Officer's robe.
Okay.
All Imperial officers in that order, except for like the Kleagle and the Club, would wear that color robe, but with stripes.
Within a certain state or city, you mean?
Certain group.
So it's kind of like football uniforms then? It's like depending on your group?
Depending on the organizational, because they have the right to say, okay, well, I want my officers to wear this, but they have a standard that they go by.
Okay.
You've got a couple different colors that you go by, but each one can, Wizard can approve, okay, I want all my Imperial officers to be white and gold. I have another Imperial officer's robe that's white with a blue cape. That's, some of them do that. The Dragons, all green, white cape, or white robe with a green cape. I mean, I have all my robes in the next room.
Yeah.
My officer's
How do you get those cleaned? Do you just take them to a dry cleaner and some eyebrows get raised?
You just make sure you don't get them dirty.
Oh, okay.
Because mine are all satin except for my white and blue one. It's cotton. But
that's a good question, though. I mean, just as part of living your life. If you
I never carried one, but one time I carried one to a dry cleaner and they refused to clean it as soon as I pulled it out of the black. Because when they seen it, they're like, oh no, we can't do that. It cost us business. I'm like, that's okay. So I went home and cleaned it myself. But I mean, satin, you can clean satin.
Oh, okay. Some woolite or something.
You just got to be careful. You just the main thing with a robe is getting like a burn on it if you're at a cross lighting. Like you asked your question, why do we light the cross?
Yeah.
Most people immediately when they see the fiery cross says, oh, that's what they use for intimidation. Like once them go back to rogue Klansmen might have stuck a cross in somebody's yard and lit it as intimidation.
Or a church or whatever.
I have never did anything like that, but we light the cross to show the light of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Out of the darkness comes the light. That is why we light them. It's a religious ceremony to us.
Is it protected under the Amendment of Religious Freedom?
That I don't know. I mean, that's something I would have to find out myself. I'm not sure if anything we do is protected, to be honest with you, because anything we do is considered racist or acts of terrorism. We light crosses as a religious... To me, when I go to a cross lighting...
It must be protected, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to do it. I mean,
if you're on private land, and
I guess
they can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
But, if I went out in this front yard and lit one up, the law would be all out here. They couldn't arrest me for it, but they could damn sure stand there and cause me a problem, wanting to know why. And I'm sure the neighbors would definitely be very piquing their curiosity for it, but I don't do silly stuff like that. The cross lighting to me is a religious experience. The way I can compare it is like going to church. Mm-hmm. Every cross lighting I've ever been to has been a religious type experience. We pay our respects to the cross and Jesus Christ, and we're in church at that time. That is what it's for. I wear my robes for that purpose and ceremonies only. I don't put my robe on and stand out here on the corner and holler, white power, white power, white power. I will not do that. If I'm going to go holler white power, I'll be in my BDUs. Something that if something happens, I'm prepared. It's kind of hard to get down with a robe on. Give me my combat boots and my BDUs, and yeah, I'm down with it.
So do you have a monthly meeting then? Do you guys
Yes,
get together?
we have monthly meetings every month, and each, I'm not going to say every Klan group in America, because you probably got, it ain't no telling how many.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
According to the FBI, there's lots and lots.
Oh, yeah. Then you have many groups that's like the Klan, but don't have that name. Just because you don't wear a robe don't mean you might.
Yeah, how do you feel about the neo-Nazi faction of it? They consider themselves part of. I mean, they're like intense Klan
part of the white supremacist movement, and some of them. I mean, you've had other ones that looked at it like they'd go, okay, we need all the members we can get, so we can't say we don't want this Nazi guy in here because he believes in Nazis, so let's let him in. And they started mixing that in with the Klan groups, but the Klan was an American organization. It was founded on the American flag. The Confederate flag is not the Klan flag. That is the biggest myth and BS that I've ever heard. It never has been the Klan flag, and it never will be. Yes, you have seen the Confederate flag at Klansmen. Well, the Klan was made in the South. So, of course, there's your flag, everybody for, Confederacy and Southern pride and all that. But the Klan flag has never been that. The Klan flag is the American flag.
Just straight up the American flag.
Yeah, because the Klan was founded in 1865. Civil War ended, months before the Klan.
Yeah, when I read the treatises, it said basically to adhere to the original Constitution
as it was originally written.
That's what it said. Yeah, and to Christ. That was kind of like the two big things that stood out to me.
That is what we are actually about. I mean, of course, not every group in America stands for the same thing, but I guarantee you they are about the Constitution as originally written, and they are about Jesus Christ.
What about the Founding Fathers saying that religious freedom was paramount to this country's establishment?
The Founding Fathers, you talking about like George Washington and them?
The Jefferson and Franklin and
Yeah, well, look at what them
John Adams.
Yeah, they was all Freemasons on top of that too. And just because they
that is true, they were Freemasons.
Yes, they was. All of Washington was built by the Freemasons. You can go through there and
see. All their symbols are everywhere.
Yeah, and if you know how to decode them symbols, it's amazing what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't know how to decode them. I did read the Da Vinci Code though years ago.
Yeah, but a lot of that is smoke and mirrors.
Well, it's fiction. So.
Yeah, a lot of it is. I mean, because they don't know themselves.
So the Klan is not. They don't associate with the Freemasons. That's
totally the Klan was founded by all the founding members was Freemasons.
Okay. Got it.
But there's things on that I'm not allowed to talk about as far as Masonic, things, because there's a certain level you get to when you're on Freemasons that opens up a door. So the Klan and the Freemasons, you could say are one of the same, but at the same time we do not meet together.
Okay. So, but they have the same history and tradition. Like, if you were a Freemason, you were likely part of the Klan? Is in the old days, or they're separate?
I wouldn't want to go as far as saying that, because the Freemasons their beliefs are a little bit different when it comes to Christ than what other people's are. So we kind of like have separated ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Like the Freemasons, you have to have an unblemished record to even be part of it.
You mean no prison?
No prison, no jail, no criminal offenses on you whatsoever.
Right.
That's the only way you can be a part of Freemasons.
So you can't do it because you said you had been.
My family's been in the Freemasons forever and ever and ever. Like I said, the founding members of the Klan was Freemasons, as the founding fathers of this country was.
Right.
We came around 80 some odd years after our Constitution was written. We're 151 years old. As of Christmas Eve, we turned 151 years old.
Christmas Eve?
Yeah, that's when the Klan was founded, December 24th, 1865. They met in that law office down in Pulaski.
Did you have a big party?
I did, yeah. We actually had I guess you'd say a little ceremony down there in Pulaski, Christmas Eve. Cross lighting you wouldn't want to do them every week or every month, but as he said, I know you've seen the United Shades of America.
The what?
That show, United Shades of America.
I haven't seen it.
You ain't seen that? It was on CNN. They had W. Kamar Bell interview the Klan up in Kentucky.
I haven't seen it.
You ought to check that out. It's all over YouTube. It's pretty interesting because I'll let Mr. Shealy, he can answer that question on that because he summed it up better than anybody ever heard. That's when he's talking about a clear night with the stars twinkling that he'd want it to be a Christmas card. I thought that was so awesome.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it's all over YouTube.
Then you were going to be on that A&E show, and now they're not doing it, or you were on it?
Yeah,
and
I was in it. I've been in it ever since it started. I'm one of the ones that came to before they did anybody else.
Yeah.
Some of the ones that was in it, I'm the one that recommended them.
Ah.
So,
okay.
Because there's only a certain few of us out here that's really known. I mean, you got a lot of them that's Imperial Wizards out here, and this and that, and all this right here.
I imagine there's a lot, considering Pulaski was the birthplace, right? So there's got to be a ton.
Yeah, you would think there'd be one on every corner down here, but finding a Klansman down in this area is pretty hard. I'm probably the easiest one to find down here, because I'm the most outspoken and most well-known.
Right. Does that is that ever worrisome for you?
No, it don't bother me at all.
No.
Because I'm, not to brag on myself, I'm just not one that fears violence or death. I have no problem with either one. You know, I'm willing to die for what I believe in, and I'm willing, you know, to do whatever it takes to get the message out. You know, as a past Klansman of yesteryear that's gone once said, I'm not against using any methods necessary to get the message out.
Does that mean that you would? I guess I don't know what that means. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Any means necessary.
So does that mean that you would kill someone in order to?
If they tried to do harm to me, my family, or my
that's
fellow brothers,
self-defense. That's not really.
Well, I mean, I'm a nonviolent person until provoked, but I go from 0 to 160 when provoked, and most people is not willing to go to the.
But you're not talking about you'll like go out and kill people who aren't white. That's not.
No,
what you're
I'm not going to ride down the road.
I think that's important to distinguish.
Yes, let's distinguish that, because I don't want the feds talking to us. Oh, okay, we got 30 unsolved black crimes, so we'll just pin them on you. No, I'm not going to go out in the car this evening and randomly shoot black people. I think
it's important to make that distinction, because you said that you would do whatever it took.
Any means
you don't
necessary.
actually. I don't. I think
I'm not going to kill just to be killing. I don't kill for sport. I would kill to protect my family and my brothers and sisters and my race. I would die for my beliefs. I'd be the one that would take the first bullet. That's what it took for my brothers to carry on.
Do you actively, does the Klan, not you per se, but does the Klan actively recruit, or do you just, is it sort of like knock on the door the right way and the door opens? And
we recruit on a daily basis. We have people that is their sole job, is that's all they do is recruit. If you don't go out and talk and try to find more people, then you're only going to have a room full, and that's it. We of today are trying to, not going to say so much as try to say the Klan is this we've never did nothing wrong type thing, because our history, I mean, everybody knows our history. We've had bombings, we've had killings and all that. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, everybody knows what we're about, and they know what, we stand for, and they don't like what we're saying, just go away. Just get the hell away from us and leave us alone. Because we're not going nowhere. We've been here 151 years. We are not leaving. We are just as much part of America as America is itself. Without the Klan has rose and fought battles for America since its inception. I mean, a lot of bad press has been put on the Klan, a lot of bad rap.
Do you feel that the KKK will just keep on keeping on? I saw online that the ranks were actually that more people were signing up. Is it called signing up or joining?
Yeah, let's just say it is called joining and standing up for what you know is right. Yes, the Klan is not going anywhere. It's going to keep going. We all would love to see it return to its day of like when Simmons was Imperial Wizard. We had 4 to 6 million members in the Klan. There was 500,000 women alone in it.
Goodness.
That's 500,000 people.
What's your membership now?
According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, and I guess you'd say Homeland Security, anywhere between 6,000 to 8,000 members is what they claim.
Huh. Do you think there's more, or do you think there's less?
Well, I guess I'd feel free to say that I know there's more. Mm-hmm. I will not give an accurate thing, because there we go again, Invisible Empire.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I happen to know firsthand that there's more than that.
Yeah.
There's a lot more than that.
I would believe that there were more.
Oh, there is. I mean, if they only knew. I could go as far as saying they might be halfway right of what they're saying. They better add what they're saying to it.
I understand.
Because they're not looking at the full picture. It ain't just...
People seldom look at the full picture.
They don't. They look at what they're told and what they believe. I mean, who was that not too long ago? I was talking to somebody. And the second I turned around and said something about the Klan, they immediately said, "Oh yeah, man, they killed blacks, so that's all they do. They just ride around and look for blacks to kill." No, we don't ride around looking for blacks to kill. We have took care of our own, just as many white people as we ever have done blacks. I mean, if we went down to Rose Hill, Tennessee, which ain't far from here, there are older people down there that remembers when the Klan ran rampant down there and was all around there, and they'll tell you there was an incident. I know of 2 different stories where one guy was a drunk, wouldn't feed his family or his wife, would drink his money up over there, and in the community was having to take care of his family. Klan came and paid him a social call. and told him, said, any more of this right here, you don't want us to come back for the business call. Well, he didn't pay no attention. He thought, I'm married, I'm free, I like a lot of them. I'll do what I want to do. I'm blah, blah, blah. Well, when they came back that second time, he was put over a barrel and whipped half to death. Man never touched another drink the rest of his life. The Klan has helped a lot of ways. I mean, yes, we work with law enforcement. All Klan organizations do.
I mentioned that there's law enforcement that are members of the KKK. It would be silly to think otherwise.
Well, I mean, like I said, you could be a butcher, you could be the mailman, you could be,
sure.
somebody clean somebody's hotel room, you could be working in a liquor store, or you could go Wally World, could be the greeter that walked in the door, old man standing there, and you go, how you doing, sir? He could be a Klan member. You never know. Because think about it, if I went everywhere in my road, people would not want to do much around in front of me, knowing our reputation and what our stances are. But if I walk like this and you don't know who I am, you might stand there and pull out a bag of methamphetamine in front of me and sell it to your buddy right there, and I see it. Then I know you're a part of the plague and the disease of my society. If you don't know who I am, then you don't know if it's okay to do something in front of me or not. I don't go for all that. I have no problem with somebody with a little drink, as long as you don't overindulge. I don't like drunkards. A drunk is no use to nobody. If he's all falling down drunk all the time, what good is he?
I'm curious, since you are very out about who you are and what you believe and all that, do you ever try and explain that to your fellow Klansmen and say, like, hey, man, be out of who you are, be out and be...
Well, to my fellow Klansmen, I don't tell any of them, hey, man, go out here and tell everybody you walk up on here in the Ku Klux Klan and don't worry about it. Because, like I said before, white people are in a position in this country that, just to be known to be in the Klan, you'd lose your job. I know brothers that's been fired just because they had ink, I wear Klan ink all over me. I can take my shirt off and show you all kind of things. In fact, I'll show it to you. I mean, I got... Right here on my background explain right there tells you how outspoken I am. When it's summertime, trust me, I don't have a coat on.
Oh, okay.
I wear strapless white beater shirts.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, both sides.
What's the one on the right? I see the one on the left is the hooded, and then the flag that you were talking about
right
earlier.
there is the descendant patch, the honor duty patch.
Oh, okay. That's
what Colonel William Simmons designed that. A lot of people wear that on their robe. Ain't too many in America have that tattooed on them. That's an honor to have that right there on it, because you put that on you dishonor the Klansman or a robe or anything about it. I feel they have the right to come to you and burn it right off of you. And if I was to do something like that, I would be the man that would pull my shirt off, lay across that table, and let them burn it off of me, because I feel like I would not be worthy to wear it. That's a badge of honor, and to me, that's like a Purple Heart.
I see.
As a, what I mean, as a military veteran or distinguished.
Were you in the military?
No, I was not.
Oh, okay.
I wish I was. I wouldn't have any problem going today as old as I am. I'd go, because I can still pull a damn trigger. I know how to use a gun. I mean, I have a pretty good collection of them around abouts, they say. At least that's what I'm told.
We do live in the South.
Yeah, we do.
There are a lot of guns here. A lot of guns everywhere, really, at this point.
So. Oh, they're everywhere, because it's not just, we have terrorists coming in all the time, or they're really already here, just waiting. And look at it this way: if you're in the troops, and I understand military people. I know a lot of military people active, still in the duty, that might be part of an organization. It might not be say Klan on it. It might say a patriotic group or a militia group.
Sure. Well, I think it's safe to say that that there are Klansmen and women in all sorts of parts of society.
They're everywhere,
and in every level. That was, and again, I'm not rooting or standing up for the Klan in any way, but it's important for me to say. Because it's not my belief system, but
not yet. Anyways, I ain't talked to you long enough. I'll start recruiting them in a minute.
But I think that it's a bad idea to think that anyone in the Klan is an ignoramus. I think there's some very bright people who
all walks of life.
Absolutely, and I think that's important. I mean, I use Hitler as an example. Not that Hitler was a Klansman, but just Hitler, the Nazi, was a very bright man.
Yes, he was.
So you can't just all sort of unilaterally say all people who believe these things are idiots or are ignorant or whatever. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. Some of them, of course. There's all kinds.
If you get some Jack Daniels and Hank Jr. going too long, I mean, yeah, you can get ignorant. That's when you get your crazy rednecks.
I just think it's important to say that it's everywhere. It's
pervasive. It's from every economical level you can think of, from the very top rich people down to the poor, working class type. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that has took the time to do their research and background and see America and what's going on around them could be part of a Klan organization or, a patriotic group. Anybody that's, American. Like when you're in a war zone and you're in the military, it don't matter what color this man's next to you. When the bullets is flying, as long as he's shooting in the same direction you're shooting in, he's a brother, I guess, in a wartime situation.
So that you feel like if you were at war and you were in the military...
If I was in the military and I'm in a foxhole and under fire and shooting, I don't give a damn if it's Jackie Chan sitting over there. If his M16 is firing in the same direction I am, I'm not going to turn around and hate on him or shoot him because he's not a white. He is fighting for a common cause, which is called America and freedom for,
Well, what if that comes back full circle to the conversation we had earlier about a doctor operating on you? The common cause would be saving your life.
I'd rather die, really. I mean, if you're giving me that choice to where if I walked in a doctor...
Do you know what I mean, though?
Yeah, it sounds like a double standard, but you have to look at it. You asked me if I was, would I say this or that? If I walked in a doctor's office right now, and there's a white doctor, black doctor...
Sure, but I'm talking about for your life.
If I'm laying there and don't know what's going on, I have no choice. That's what I have to say.
But you have a choice to fight alongside an African American.
Well, it's not like I signed up and said I won't.
Yeah, but you said that at that
Barry
point
Gordy here beside me.
Right. At that, it's interesting you always use.
Yes, you have to focus on the task at hand.
But in that case, he's your brother.
At that time.
To me, that's an interesting way to put it,
it
considering
is,
the way you think.
But you have to look at it like that. If we're in that foxhole and them bullets are flying, I can't control who's in a platoon I'm in. So if he's standing there and he's not trying to shoot me in the back of the head, why should I shoot him in the back of the head? We are having a working relationship at that time. Yes, we have a common enemy that we can get out of the way.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a totally crazy question. What happens, let's just say aliens land, and aliens want to take over the Earth, and at this point, they just want to annihilate everyone. They don't care. The aliens are like puny humans prepare to die.
Do you smoke weed or something?
No, but you know what I mean? At that point,
I see what you're saying.
At that point, then suddenly is all of humanity your brother because you have a common enemy in the aliens?
Well, at that point, I would kind of hope I could get somebody to communicate with the aliens that would go blow the rest of the world up first and save us for last.
Save white guys for last?
Yeah, at that point.
Yeah.
But that
I always had to bring
that is like a crazy one. I'd probably have to have a few drinks to really understand that. That was kind of a crazy question. Aliens now we're really getting out there. Dinosaurs would be running around next.
Yeah, I mean, it's it is a crazy question, but
I guess you'd say if the aliens came down tonight and it was Independence Day, we're all at risk of extermination. I guess most people are going to I hope they don't get us first, but I guess we all got to do what we got to do to survive.
Then humanity becomes your brother at that point.
We would all be, I guess, say side by side for a common cause to save our planet as a whole. But yeah, that's why
it's an interesting question, though.
Yeah, it is. I've never been asked about the aliens.
I tried to ask everyone about the aliens.
That got me. Of course, I was kidnapped by them last night, and they did surgery on me. I remember absolutely nothing.
That's for the best. I've taken up so much of your time, and I really.
That's okay. So that is pretty cool. I've never been asked
that one.
That's a good one. I will actually talk about that today. But I was asked if the aliens came down here, would everybody in the world be my brother? We would be together as a common
brothers
cause.
in arms.
Yeah, but as soon as we got rid of the aliens, guess what?
You'd go back to where you normally are.
Yeah, because you got to look at. You just got to understand the people I've been around, and I'm talking about outside of the races. I've been around black leaders of their movement, NAACP.
Sure.
The new Black Panther Party has a contract on me. They have about 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, they'd like to see me dead. You just hadn't. I guess you ain't done your research enough to hear none of my speeches I've gave in my past.
Well, I don't like to. It's kind of like for me the whole point of the conversations is to be supernatural. Very
Correct.
organic.
I see what you're saying.
If I knew everything you had said, then my questions would be sort of silly because I already would know the answer. But me asking you in real time,
right?
I'm learning.
Getting them,
yeah. So that's why.
So am I the only Klan person that you're interviewing, or is there others?
Just you so far. You were the one. So I really appreciate your time, Richard.
It's no problem. Anytime.
Yeah.
So how many people will be knocking on my door this evening? Is this going on there?
No, it won't go on today. It'll go on in a few weeks. Yeah. So. Hey everybody, it's me again. So the episode finished and I did my normal preamble that I do before every episode, and I was emotional and there was a lot going through my mind and I just couldn't let a couple things go, And I emailed Richard today. It's Wednesday, the day before this airs. Wednesday, is it the 11th? And anyway, I couldn't let some stuff go. I really had a couple more questions. And so I reached out to Richard and I said, hey, do you mind if I ask you these questions and give you a call later tonight? And he was gracious and said yes. And so what follows is that conversation. It's just a little while longer. So thanks for hanging in there and listening. If you've made it this far, I appreciate it. Okay, here we go. I called you back because I wanted to ask you a couple more questions that came up because the nature of conversation, it ebbs and it flows, and we didn't quite touch on the things that I was asking because we got sidetracked and went off on another direction. So you agreed to talk to me again, which I really appreciate. And so I'm just going to ask you the questions. Cool?
All right.
Okay. Okay. So we were talking about why you wouldn't want children of other races playing with white kids, and I asked you why. And the conversation went to foreign language study in school. And my first question is this: foreign language has always been taught in school in America. The choices of languages historically have been that you can learn have been like Spanish and French and German and Latin, and then the last 2 decades, Japanese and Chinese. So why do you feel it's more of a problem now that kids learn a foreign language, or do you feel that it's a problem? Because it's kind of... Sorry, go ahead.
My thoughts on that would be, it's not so much as somebody wanting to learn a foreign language. I just don't feel that it should be forced upon the student on a pass or fail grade that, if they don't,
You mean like that they're required to take it? Because I think it was an elective at one point. Is it?
Yeah, like if they come in there and they say, you got to take French class, and I don't think that should be able to fly. They should not force you or demand that you have to take that.
Okay.
To where is really my sentiments on that. But I guess more or less on the school thing is like our culture over here in America should be taught first and foremost, and any foreigners coming from another country should be required that, if they're going to live here, they should at least know the language and our history and culture. And, that should be what they should have to. We shouldn't have to adjust for them.
Even if our culture is based on, technically that we're all foreigners coming to America? Or you mean the I'm just trying to get what you mean by that. Do you mean like the history starting from when, Christopher Columbus was here? Is that
if you started from right there, from when Plymouth Rock, when they crashed into Plymouth Rock on the Mayflower.
Yeah.
If you come from another country over here, all that right there they should have to know all of that. I understand, where, the world's only so big, and, a lot of people, and everybody's spreading out, going everywhere.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel that a foreigner should be able to come over here and get all the rights that our people have fought and died and paid and built up here in this country, and they can just roll over here and get it handed to them just because they're from a foreign land. But on the other hand, we go to their country, we get none of that.
Oh, okay. Wait, what do you mean we don't get to get educated in their country? Is that what you mean?
Well, I'm saying look at the benefits a person has to come over here to America.
Right. It's a very open country.
Yeah, it's wide open, and you can come over here like with the Mexicans. Look at all the illegals that came over here, and they're allowed to stay, even though they do deport a lot of them as they catch them. But look at the majority of them come over here. Their money they're making half the time is sent back to that country. So they're over here taking jobs of people that's already here. We have a hunger and homeless problem that's an epidemic in this country. But at the same time, you got these organizations, and they're sending money all over the world to help these other countries. Mm-hmm. When did the U.S. have to become the international savior for the world?
You want it all to stay here.
Yeah, I think we should take care of our own first before we start worrying about what's going on in Ethiopia or Iran or Iraq. Unless it's a dire threat to our security, which with the terrorist people it is. we don't have no business worrying about what they don't do or don't have, as long as it's not a threat to us.
Yeah, I think we've lost a lot of jobs to automation. I mean, a lot of American jobs have gone by way of robots that...
Exactly. I mean, that's progress there, but when you can take a company that'll leave the United States and go to another country because they get a better tax break or can hire cheaper labor, but yet at the same time they're going to do that, but yet you still want to bring their product back over here and they charge just like it is, you know?
Yeah.
They go over and have like a pair of Nike or Reebok shoes. Look where they're made.
Yeah.
What does it cost them to make a pair of them?
Yeah.
$1, $2, whatever labor.
Right.
That's what they sell for.
Yeah, $150. Does it bother you? Does it bother you that some of Trump's companies are in China?
I look at it like this. If you have a company in another country over there, I don't feel that you should be able to make a product and then come over here and sell it back to our country at a jacked up, high, exorbitant rate. It should go, if you're going to be in another country, then I think you should have to pay, which I think Trump said this, they're going to charge tax and tariffs and all that on people bringing their stuff in here like that. It should be a fair rate. I mean, that's what's happened to your mom and pop stands. That's what's happened to, the people that built America is big companies that shut them out because they can do something so much cheaper than a smaller company, family-owned.
Sure, companies like Amazon for certain have, but that's an American company. But I mean, a store like Amazon, an online store, can absolutely outprice a mom and pop store. But that's all America. I mean, it's almost like we're what is the phrase? We're cutting off our nose to spite our face.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've done, and that's because we've allowed, I don't know the proper word for that. We've allowed our own self to outsmart our own self, and we've allowed, elected officials that told us one thing and went up there and done. I mean, we don't know what goes on behind a closed door. We're just sitting there. We only know what they tell us. It's
true. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
I mean,
politicians are very good at telling us what we want to hear, I think. We can agree on that for sure.
Oh, yeah. Politicians, they're just silver-tongued devils.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, look at our president race. I mean, anything like that. Look at the money it costs to run a campaign.
Yeah.
Versus what that person's salary is going to be when they get in there.
Well, I've often said that if they took all the money it costs to run a campaign for an elected office, whatever the elected office is, that if they could somehow figure out a way to, I don't know, feed the poor or educate some children or, it is.
Take care of our homeless people, our hungry kids, our veterans that sleeping out in the street.
Yeah, it's messed up.
When fought and died. I mean, that's where the money and our benefits, if we're going to give away things, that's where it needs to go to.
I agree with you. I do. See, look at us. We're completely on different sides of the world as far as most things, and yet we can agree on something, which, it just goes to show you.
There you go. There it goes to show that we got common ground right there on that subject.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that why I do what I do. Because that's what I'd like to see, I would love to see it. I don't want to see a hungry child on the street or a homeless person laying there.
No.
Even
if it's a black child, right? Because you said any child is a child. I remember
a child is a child, and nobody should be starved to death. I mean, I don't care where you're at. I mean, I don't care. You shouldn't be hungry, but I don't feel the United States does our own people right. American people, no matter what their color are, the ones that get up and hit a time clock every day, that is America. That's what makes it roll.
Yeah.
And when they turn around and they take their money, and it's so easy for a government official to turn around and say, we're going to send $10 million over here to help this country just had an earthquake. All right, where did that $10 million come from? It didn't come from his personal wealth. It come from the taxpaying Americans.
Yeah. It's a complicated issue because there is humanitarian aid that needs to happen. I mean, we have to protect our own and feed our own and educate our own. I agree with that completely. But I also feel like as a good human being, we have to care for other people as well.
You don't want to see nobody just, win their way into nothing. But I mean, when you have that same massive problems in your own land, how can you get out here and say, well, we're going to give $30 million and send 500 troops over here to help you when we got that same problem here?
Yeah.
I mean, where do you think the gangbangers come out of? They up there killing each other for a corner of a street, you know, to make money.
It's sad. It's so sad. Okay, the second question I have for you is that eventually we got to a part in the conversation regarding kids playing with kids from other races that you said that you thought it unfair that if people in the KKK want their white children to only play with white children, they are labeled racist. And given your point of view on that, couldn't it be argued that you would think it's unfair that all Muslims are labeled terrorists, something you had said later in the interview, if only a radicalized few, ISIS, and, you know, the Al-Qaeda and stuff, that they're hiding behind the Muslim religion for their own gain of violence and domination. In other words, you can't label a whole group of people based on what a faction of that group does. And your argument was that those two KKK guys that went rogue and killed the black guy in the 80s, and you said you didn't want them to label all of the KKK, that they were acting on their own.
Right.
So in that logic, that's, you know, you can't lump all Muslims as terrorists. You know what I mean? So that was kind of my question.
Well, no, you can't say that every Muslim you see is an actual full-blown terrorist that's going to go blow a building up. But then you have to dig into their actual beliefs and faiths that they're actually taught, you know. Look what a lot of that is, that the Muslim stuff that they do. I mean, white people are their enemy.
But, I mean, that's radicalized people who, I mean, I have Muslim friends, and of course, they're lovely, wonderful, beautiful people who would never in a billion years blow anyone up, or you know, and for them, they feel their religion has been completely bastardized the way religion gets bastardized throughout history, and a few crazy people hide behind their religion in order to do bad things, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You're right. I mean, it would be unfair to say every Muslim is a terrorist that's going to blow something up. I mean, I'm not even going to say that. I mean, just what you know, because, one, I don't know any except what I see on the news.
Yeah.
You know, but...
I suppose you don't have any Muslim friends. I guess that would be a stretch.
I have no black friends whatsoever. You know, I don't have any Muslim friends at all. I believe, you know, in the, you know, Christian religion. That's what I was taught to believe, and that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I believe in. I mean, so, yeah, I guess you got to have some kind of religious freedom. I mean, because it, you know, would be unfair to say, okay, the Christian faith is the only faith in existence, and blah, blah, blah. That would be unfair to make that statement. So it is freedom of religion, but the religion should not be forced upon you, and, you know,
right.
I don't believe it should be. You know, every person has their own opinion, you know, and their choice they want to believe in. And I don't have a problem with it as long as it don't affect me or my family or, you know, my people.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess I was making a similar, because you had said it's not fair that they lump you in to the people that run around doing murderous, horrible things, that those are...
Yeah, well, I mean, if you stop thinking two guys that did do that because a white police officer was killed by a black guy, and they let him off, so they went riding around and they killed a black dude. I mean, that was stupid because all it did was sent one of them to the gas chamber, did it. The other one snitched on him to get out, you know, and I guess he did life in prison. The black dude's still just as dead. The one guy dies, the other one, you know, snitches out. What did it accomplish? You killed somebody you didn't know from Adam just because he was black. You did not advance your race or culture. You set it back. Because then you made everybody that puts a robe on or stands up, it don't have to be a robe. I mean, in today's times, you know, if you say, I'm proud to be white, there's a good chance somebody's going to say, oh, you're a racist then, huh? The Black Lives Matter Foundation, I mean, if you do all that and listen to them, all they talk about is how the police do them so wrong. And
well, I think to be black in America is you know, it's definitely, it's tough. I mean, the police...
Oh, yeah, it's tough because of the history they've had over here. You know, yes, they was brought over here, you know, a long time ago by slaves. And, you know, white people didn't create slavery. They actually are the ones that ended slavery. So whites should not have no white guilt, no apologies on that today. I mean, because they're basically trying to make us still feel bad and sorry for things that none of us in the lives they had anything to do with. And look at your statistics, which is commonly found FBI statistics anywhere. I mean, every branch of law enforcement couldn't be out to get the black people who was committing violent crimes. I mean, look at the violent crimes. Yes, all races commit them, but the majority number, highest numbers, is done by the black community.
It depends on the crime, honestly. I mean, it really does.
Robberies and murders.
And it also depends on where you are in the nation, and it's, there's a lot of things. I'm not personally comfortable lumping any race into any particular, that's just...
No, I don't lump them into it. I just read the statistics when, they release that stuff and show the, like rape and stuff. I mean, all races commit crimes. I mean,
yeah,
you don't hear
of course.
About
sure.
nowhere else committing a lot. I mean, I know when I was locked up, I only seen one in prison the entire time I was there.
What did you go to prison for? I never asked you that.
I messed up and had a drug offense in prison.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was wondering, because I remember you said that you had smoked pot and stuff, so I wasn't sure. I thought, oh, it's probably drugs, but I didn't want to assume.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was, and my, one of my stupid decisions, and I didn't go up there and holler, oh, this is racism, this guy's getting to do it, and he got away with it, how come I'm going to jail? I took my case and did my time.
Yeah.
And I didn't sit around feeling sorry for myself on it. I looked down on myself and judged myself very hard because, there I was, but I knew I was guilty. I admitted it. I did my time.
Yeah.
And that's the way it ought to be.
Yeah. Hey, the last thing I wanted to tell you, I got it wrong. It wasn't, I emailed you and told you this, but the bone saw, it goes all the way back to Neanderthal times, and it's actually attributed to Spanish. But I was curious because we talked about where glass comes from, and I was right, it's definitely a Persian invention, but I had written down some things, inventions, because, for me, I'm thinking, God, the whole world runs on inventions that people of every race, color, and creed and religion have invented. And I just wanted to tell you really quick. So I wrote this down. African Americans invented the potato chips. George Crumb, which I thought was funny that his name was Crumb and he invented the potato chip. Multiplex telegraph, Granville Woods. The air conditioner, Lewis Latimer. Charles Richard Drew discovered how to separate red blood cells from plasma and how to store it, basically inventing blood banks. Gas masks, an early prototype of the traffic light, was invented by an African-American named Garrett Morgan. Otis Boynton invented the artificial pacemaker control unit. And a woman named Patricia Bath invented the cataract laser phaco, I don't know if I'm saying that right, probe, saving millions of people's eyesight. And Muslims, coffee is from Yemen. Algebra is invented by a guy named Al-Khwarizmi, which I don't personally enjoy algebra, but it's a great invention. Hospitals are from 9th century Egypt. The toothbrush is attributed to Muhammad. Reading spectacles, a scholar by the name of Al-Hazin. A guy named Al-Jazara invented the clock 1 billion years ago, and then the first true glass was made in coastal North Syria. So there you go. Lots of foreigners created lots of really good things.
Yeah, I was thinking on that when you sent that. There was actually, I might have this wrong, I might have to check it out, but I believe it has something to do with mascara or makeup. But I believe that an African-American woman is the one that created that.
Thank goodness.
and I believe she was, I read this, it's been several years back, but I read it. But she, I want to say that they said she was the first millionaire African-American woman. I believe she was the first one to do that, but she had something to do with either inventing the makeup in like the 20s or 30s, but she was like, might have been the first, but she got rich off of it.
Interesting.
And I'll give you another interesting fact that is true fact. Do you know the first legally owned slave over here was owned by black men?
I did know that blacks owned slaves. Yes, I did know that. Yeah.
Over here.
And actually in Africa, warring tribes would take slaves. So they were enslaved by their own people.
Their own kind too. And
yeah.
I mean, the first legally owned slave in America was owned by a black man that actually went to court and sued to get him returned.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a fact.
It doesn't surprise me. Again, slavery has been around for a very long time. White people do not have the market on slavery, for sure. Yeah.
About that. Your Irish people was enslaved long before that.
That's right. Slavery has been an unfortunate...
that's a very unfortunate, bad part of our past. I mean, there are those that would say, I would love to have a bunch of them today, but I mean, no, I'm not one that want a bunch of them today because, I mean, I don't believe anybody should be enslaved like that to, get enough of that working a real job out here anyways. If you look at the way salaries are and a lot of things, I mean, it's just basically slavery. It just ain't beating you with a whip.
Yeah.
You could go on and on and on with the questions like that on the racial thing. I mean, you can, and it's all going to have its good points and bad points all the way around. I mean, the white race is not the perfect race, but I'm proud that I was born white. I would not change it any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Just like I'm sure, an African American. I mean, that gets me too. Why we say African American, but they're proud to be black, and a Mexican is. Any person is proud of what color they are and what race they are. I just feel the whites that gave a bad deal on it is because we can't be proud of our race and promote it, even if it had nothing to do with the Klan. You don't have to have the KKK involved. It's just an ordinary, you yourself could probably go out here, and if you just walked out your apartment tomorrow, your house, and just said, damn, I'm happy that I'm born white here in America. If there was a black anywhere around there's a 90% chance you'd be called a racist, and he would start, and depending on who they are, probably start going off on you and cussing you and trying to say, I guess you think I should be cutting your grass. Always go right back to stuff that none of us alive today had anything to do with.
Well, I mean, speaking for myself, which is the only person I can speak for, is, I've had conversations with my other white friends, and we've talked about racism in America. And, it's a weird thing for a white woman to speak with another white woman about racism. In a way, you feel, at least for me, I feel like this weird privilege that I get to talk about this thing in the second person, and unless I'm in the skin of somebody who is black or Mexican or whatever, I have no idea what they go through. I could not speak to that. I have no right to speak to that. I can only hypothesize and philosophize and worry and hope for the best and all these things, but I'm not walking in the shoes. I'm not living in the skin, so I don't know, and I can't know.
I understand that. Yeah, we don't know, as white people, what it feels like to walk around being a black person and what they deal with. I'll give you that. That's a good, valid point.
Yeah.
But at the rate we're growing in this country or in the world, if you look at like Europe, the way it's already been, overrun with it, it probably won't be, I don't know if I'll live to see it, but eventually our children's children will, to where they are the minority, and they already got a good leg up on us, and then we will have a feeling, I guess you'd say, of what the blacks claim, is racism, when we're outnumbered 6-1 in this country.
I looked, after our conversation, I came home and I looked up the census information, and it said that whites are 77% of America is white America, and less than 13% is of color. So it's a long way off at this point.
Well, I just don't believe in statistics there.
You don't?
They're saying, you said you looked it up, and it says 77% of America's population is white.
That's what the census said, yeah, in 2010. They do it every, 10 years or something?
Okay, well, look at that year, 2010, yes. It might have been right. Now, think of how many people has came over since then and how many births have been here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we had to wait another 3 years to get the census again.
Well, so they do that every 10 years? They do a census?
I think it's every 10. I'm not exactly sure. I'm almost sure, but not totally sure. But it would take a long time to get to get to an equilibrium where apparently they theorize that in another 40 or 50 years we will have what's called a majority-minority or a minority, majority. I forget which one comes first, which word. But basically that means that no one race will be over 50%. They theorize that that's coming, in the next 40, 50 years.
I'm good. I'm 45 now, so that means there's probably a good chance I won't be around.
Probably a good chance, yeah.
No, you're agreeing with me. I figured you just somebody like me live for 100 years.
Well, I don't know. I mean, anymore. I went to a memorial tonight for a friend, and so nobody's life is certain. I don't believe that,
Nobody was promised tomorrow.
Nobody is promised tomorrow. All we have is right now, so.
Right. You're right. That's all we got, right here and now.
Yeah. Richard, I appreciate you talking to me again. I took so much of your time the other day, and it's funny. I had all these preconceived notions of what our conversation was going to be like, and I was a little nervous going to your house. I didn't know who you were or what to expect or anything, and I thought it was a good conversation. And
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think if I have any more history questions or stuff, I can call you up. Maybe you can research it and find it out for me.
I would absolutely do that for you.
Because I love facts. Is what I like. I don't. Maybe some of the things I've said, I might be way off track.
On a couple things, yes.
I'm just saying. That's the way I am. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and I can admit, okay, I'm wrong on that.
Yeah.
And I like to go with the facts, and I like the way you can, like when you dug up the bone saw and all that. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. I couldn't quite remember, so it was important for me to reach back out to you and say, oh, I got that wrong. So. But
that showed me a lot about how you are right there. You thought enough that when you researched it, found it, and then told me about it.
Yeah.
This is what the answer was. I like that. You went on the facts, and that's what I like.
Yeah, I'm big on facts. I like them very much.
I'm gonna sit down the next day or so and think of some good history things. Might not have anything to do with black or white, and I'm gonna send you the questions, and I'm gonna see come up with answers.
All right, agreed. I will do that. All right, you have a good night, Richard. Thank you.
You too. And thank you.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.